Welcome students to this another lecture on the topic in continuation to the previous lecture is schools of Indian philosophy, and here we will discuss the two broad categories of the Indian schools of philosophy, heterodox and orthodox, or you may also call them Astik school and Nastik schools. So we just have a glimpse on what we are going to discuss, exploring and understanding core ideas as follows. As an agenda, meaning of orthodox and heterodox schools is one aspect, 6 schools of Indian philosophy and other aspects, then Vedic schools of philosophy, the core ideas, non-Vedic schools, core concepts or their role in Indian knowledge traditions. So just have a look on the sources of origin of the Vedic Darshana. In the last lecture, we just discussed the Vedas and the Upanishads and the philosophical roots from them. So here we are just entering into the systematic philosophy, the origin of systematic philosophy, but the sources are same. The sources are the Shruti literature, the Samhitas, books of mantras. This include the 4 Vedas. And 4 Vedas, you all know that Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samveda and Atharveda obviously. And then the next level of literature is the Brahmana books, that is the books of rituals. Samhitas books are the books of mantras, and Aranyakas is the third level, books of forest. Here the meditative thinking begins, and later on this thinking is converted into the philosophical discourses in the form of Upanishads, that is the philosophical discourses. So this category of literature is considered the Shruti. What it means that what is heard. What is heard, but the guru used to recite it, and the teachers, the students used to memorize it, and in that way that was transmitted from one generation to another generation. That is called the Shruti Parampara or Guru Shishya Parampara. This is they considered that these Vedas are of the divine revelation, they are aparushe, no man has created them. They were the message of God, or the message of this ultimate reality was revealed when rishis or seers were in the deep meditation. Then whatever they heard, they just passed it on to their disciples, to their students, and they memorized it. And then here comes the Vedas or these Samhitas. So now we just have a look on the schools of Indian philosophy, conceptual understanding with knowledge implications. What is a school of sorry? What is a school of philosophy? It represents a structured and systematic intellectual tradition where a group of thinkers follow a common method and set of principles. It also refers to a distinct tradition or system of thought, sharing of common principles, methods, and the conclusions. And again, it deals with fundamental questions of existence, knowledge, reality, ethics, and ultimate purpose of life. For example, Nyaya school, Vedanta school, Samkhya school, or in the Western context, we see that empiricism, idealism may be there, humanism, or the Marxism may be there. So they all belong to certain the accumulation of the thought on the same parameter, the similarity of some ideas. Now, the sources of schools of darshan in India. Basically, Nyaya Darshan, logic and epistemology, these are the certain schools of darshan in India that developed in the course of history from Vedic period to the 16th century, 8th century also. So, there is a book, Sarv Darshan Sangrah. It was composed in 14th century by Madhvacharya Vidyaran and Saran. We also discussed in one of the lectures that during the time of Vijayanagar Samraj. So, and in South India, these two brothers, Sayan and Madhav, these were the two saints also. They did the marvelous works in the spiritual composition. So, Sarv Darshan Sangrah is a book which is the source of the description of these schools. He organized the thought in the form of schools. So, Nyaya Darshan talks about logic and epistemology, Vaisheshik Darshan, atomism and metaphysics. Sankhya Darshan talks about dualistic philosophy. Yoga Darshan talks Patanjali's yoga system that talks about the applied aspect of the Sankhya philosophy. And then the Purva Mimamsa talks about ritualistic Vedism. Vedanta based on Upanishadic, or it gives the idea of Brahma. So these are the 6 schools that come in the category of the orthodox schools or the Astik schools. Another category which come in the Nastic schools, they don't have their roots in the Vedas. They are Charvak Darshan, materialism, that is also known as the Lokayata. Buddha Darshan, that is Buddhism by that is the you see Siddhartha Gautam Mahatma Buddha. His name is Siddhartha, but he is better known as the Mahatma Buddha. Jaina Darshan by Mahavir Swami, he developed it. Some other schools of thought also developed 8th century onwards with the Shankaracharya's established his Advaita Vedanta, non-dualism, and then Dvaita Vedanta, then Pashupata Darshan, and then Shaiva Darshan, then so many other darshan, Vaishnava and Shakta and Shaiva, so Ramanujam darshan and up to the Chaitanya's ideas of God and Bhaktism also. So this Sarv Darshan Sangrah provides in a very detailed way about all these 16-17 schools of philosophy. So what is Astika and Nastika darshan in Indian context? Astika means orthodox, that is derived from Asti, that is meaning it is, there exist. Or Astika school accepts the authority of the Vedas as a valid source, and Nastika darshan, or that is the heterodox schools derived from the Nasti, that is it is not. Nastika schools reject the authority of the Vedas. So only in Indian context, in Darshanic concept and philosophical concepts, only we take the meaning in this sense that Astik means authorities of the Vedas are accepted here, and in Nastika means reject the authority of the Vedas. Nothing to do with the belief in God. They are not about belief in God, but about acceptance of the Vedas, because in general parlance we have the view that Astik means the person who believes in God and Nastik means who doesn't believe in God. So we just have a look. Astik and Nastik schools here again. You see views on Vedas. In orthodox schools or the Astika schools, Shabda Praman as ultimate source of knowledge. So Vedas are the Shabda Praman, they are the testimony. But in Nastik schools, they rejected Vedas as the only ultimate source of knowledge. They developed their ideas independently. Concept of God regarding Astik school says that some schools are theistic, Vedanta, Yoga, some are atheistic. As far as the concept of God is concerned, even within the Astik schools, two schools do not believe in the existence of God, or in the way what Vedas says. They developed their idea, or they improvised the idea of God. It doesn't mean that they don't have faith in the God, but they provide their own idea of God. Like Samkhya philosophy says that the God means the nature, it is manifested in nature. So in that way. But Nastic schools, mostly atheistic or agnostic like Buddhism, Jainism and Charvaka, they reject the idea of God. Then again concept of Atma and soul. Astik school says generally accepts the concept of an eternal self, that is Atma, distinct from the body. But Nastik schools, Buddhism denies the self, that is Anatmavad. Jainism believes in multiple individual souls, and Charvaka rejects the soul altogether. So they have their own independent ideas. Concept of moksha or the liberation. Astik schools, they consider the ultimate goal liberation from the cycle of birth and death, that is samsara. And in Nastik school, Jainism and Buddhism accept liberation but with different interpretations. Charvaka rejects it. One interesting thing is that death is not the end of life, is the basic concept of the Vedic philosophy. They believe that even after, when these schools developed, so they believe that even after that, if man has done very good deeds, he may be sent to the Swarg, or if he has done the bad deeds, he may be sent to the Narka. But after a specific time, after materializing or after experiencing punishment or the rewards, when according to the karma, for example, if you have a reward for 100 years, so you have to live 100 years in the Swarga, and when this time period would be ended, according to your karma, you have been given the rewards, then you again have to take birth. So this is the idea on which this karma theory is based on. So a person can never get rid of this cycle of the janm and mrityu. So salvation here lies that salvation or the moksha means when you is you are detached from this bondage of Jan and Mrityu. So that is the idea of salvation or the moksha. Moksha doesn't mean that you just have achieved the Swarg or the Jannat or the paradise. After some time, you again have to come back from the paradise. This is contrary to the idea what Islamic philosophy says, where in the Jannat you have to live forever. But in Vedic idea, you don't have to live in the Jannat or the Swarg forever. Up to the time, whatever is permissible by your karma, good deeds, maybe for another 10 years, maybe for 100 years, or maybe for 1000 years. So after 1000 years, you again have to take the birth. So that is very interesting to know. That's why I just reminded it, then I just add it at this point. So moksha or the liberation is the liberation from the cycle of the birth and death. Epistemology sources of knowledge on Astik school is, it recognizes multiple pramans, Vedic sources of knowledge like perception, inference, verbal testimony. But Nastik schools, Charvaka accepts only perception, Buddhism and Jainism accept perception and inference both. On the pattern of that Astik and Nastik, whether they are the believers in God or not. So here there is a table on your screen. You may see that Samkhya and Mimamsa don't have any belief in the God. All other schools, whether in Astika schools or other schools, they have a belief accordingly. Then now we come to the schools of thought and their propounder. Nyaya theory, Nyaya school was propounded by Akshpat Gautam, and Vaisheshika schools by Kanad, and Samkhya school by Kapil, Yoga school by Patanjali, Purva Mimamsa by Jaimini, and Vedanta by the Badrayan, or better known as Vyasa. On the other hand, the non-Vedic schools, heterodox schools, Charvaka by Brahaspati. Charvakas are a symbolic word or the term used to address those people who believe in the materialism. They were very sweet spoken words. That's why they are known as the Charvaka. Those who speak very sweetly. Vak means to speak. Charuvaka. So they speak very sweetly. So that's why they are known as the Charvaka people. But the idea comes from the Brahaspati. Traditionally it is concerned that Brahaspati was his guru. This idea who propounded. Then Buddhism by Gautam Buddha. Again, Buddhism also gave birth to the 4 sub-schools, Vaisheshika, Sautantrika, Yogacharya and Madhyamika. Accordingly, their propounders are Vasubandhu for Vaisheshika, Sautantrika was propounded by Kumaril Bhatt, and then Yogacharya, that is also known as the Vigyanvad, that why Ashanga or the Vasubandhu, and then Madhyamika, it is also known as the Shunyavad, that was developed by the Nagarjuna. And then 9th school of philosophy or heterodox school, Jainism, that was established by the Mahavir Jain. Then Vedic schools, some complementary nature is there. The 6 Astik or the Darshanas are treated as complementary pairs due to their thematic, methodological and metaphysical interconnections. It means that 6 schools are there, but there is a pair of the 2 schools. One is theory, another is the applied aspects. So each pair depicts theory and its applied aspect, like Samkhya is the theory and Yoga is its applied aspect. In the same way, Nyaya is a theory and Vaisheshika is its applied aspect, and in the same way, Mimamsa is the ritualistic aspects or the theoretical aspects, but Vedanta is its practical aspects. So in that way, the schools are 6, but one is theory and another is applied aspects. So main ideas of Vedic schools, here we come to the Nyaya. Logic and reasoning focuses on epistemology and the method of logical reasoning to attain knowledge, and its philosophy is knowledge is obtained through valid means, that is pramans. Then Vaisheshika school says atomism, universe is made of atoms and substances that form the physical world. So it believes the materialistic aspect of the word. So in the Nyaya philosophy, we just give the epistemological aspects, and in the Vaisheshika schools, we just discuss that what is the idea of the origin of this universe. So the world consists of substances, qualities, actions and universals. Reality can be understood through analysis. And then again, you see that Samkhya, it talks about the dualism. It says that not one Like in Vaisheshika schools, that is the one atom is responsible. This is only the materialistic aspect of the creation of this universe. But Samkhya theory says that there are some other aspects which are abstract. Like if you are the physical body and you are also thinking. So one thinking body is existing also at the same time. Physical body can be seen, can be perceived by your sense organs, but your emotional body cannot be seen. That if you are thinking, you are just angry, you are hungry. So these are all the states of mind. So where this state of mind can be felt or seen. So that's why there is another emotional body. The Sankhya gives the three bodies. So that's why the word has not been created only by the matter. Some subtle elements are also there that cannot be seen by the physical eyes. So here against the Vaisheshika philosophy, and in Indian philosophy, this is the beauty of Indian philosophy, that one idea is existing at the same time and another idea is emerging. Unlike the Western schools, when one school is ended and another school emerges on the ruins of the previous school. In Indian philosophy, all are in a coordination. One school gives one idea, and from its development, another school gives birth. Like you see that whatever idea we are finding in the Vedas, some upgraded ideas we find in the Aranyakas and in the Upanishads. And in the same way, whatever idea you find in the Nyaya and Vaisheshika, the Sankhya provides the subtle elements that was missing in the Vaisheshika. It says only matter is responsible for the creation of this universe, but Sankhya says Purush on the one hand and Prakriti. So Prakriti here is the material aspect and Purush is the consciousness, that is the subtle element. So in that way we will discuss it further. Yoga is the realization of that aspect. I have already said there is the applied aspect. So control of mind, senses, practical application of Sankhya's philosophy with a focus on mental discipline. The mind can be controlled through disciplined practice to achieve liberation, moksha. So whatever Sankhya philosophy says, like consciousness and the Prakriti, so in the vicinity of Prakriti, in the lap of Prakriti or the nature, you may realize that mystery of this universe. So Purush is the aspect that is Jad, and Chetan, that is called the consciousness. These are the two elements of Sankhya philosophy. Now here comes the Mimamsa. It gives emphasis on the ritualism and dharma, that is the worshipping aspects or the ritualistic performance or the Kam Kanda. The importance of Vedic rituals for the maintenance of order and cosmic law, and the philosophy here depends on the action and the performance of the duties, dharma, or ensure cosmic balance and spiritual progress. So here lies the philosophy of Mimamsa. Then what is Vedanta? That is non-dualism, Advaitva. On the basis of the ritualistic aspects, what is the essence, why we worship, why we are doing the Karma Kanda? For some unknown God, for some unknown Brahm. What is that? That is the non-dualism. Advaitva says, it advocates the oneness of Atma, soul, and the Brahma, that is universal consciousness. So that Brahm is inside and we have to realize that. That is the philosophy of Vedanta. Reality is ultimately non-dual, with Brahma being the singular reality. Knowledge of this unity leads to the liberation. That talks about the salvation, the moksha. Now, we can have a look on the Sankhya philosophy only out of the 6 schools, because due to the paucity of time, it's not possible to discuss all the 6 schools. But Sankhya philosophy is as more important as compared to all others. So, we can have a look on it. Sankhya philosophy says that dualistic or the Dvaitva system, it accepts two fundamental and independent the realities. One is the Purusha, that is pure consciousness, self, the passive observer, eternal and independent. Then another is the Prakriti, that is material aspect or the material nature. It is dynamic, ever-changing and the cause of creation. You just remember the Heraclitus, who says in pre-Socratic philosopher that everything is changing. Here Sankhya philosophy says that Prakriti, the nature is material, but it is always changing. So at the one hand it is Jad, it is stationary. On the other hand it is moving. It is changing itself. So this change is not visible in such a way. It is larger than life prospects, that mountain changes in 1,000 years. So the age of human being is only maximum 100 years. So you cannot perceive that change in a rapid way. but it is changing. So that is the aspect of Prakriti. At the one hand, it is static, on the other hand, it is dynamic. So both aspects are there. This is the non-duality. Dualistic system is there, but they are the same. No creator God, or the Nirishwarvada, no personal God is there. Samkhya philosophy doesn't say that God is not existing, but there is no personal God like Vedas conceptualized, like Brahma or some other, as the cause of the universe. Is that there's no personal God who is the cause of this universe or who has created. Instead, the evolution of the world is due to Prakriti's transformation. The world has been evoluted by this nature, and nature itself is playing the role of the creator. That is what Samkhya says. Then evolutionary theory, that is called the Satyakarivada. That is in science what you see, that Darwin's theory of evolution of this world. So Samkhya theory also gives evolutionary, it is also known as the evolutionary theory, how the universe came in the existence. The effect pre-exists in the cause. What Nasadiya Sutta says in Vedas, that when neither death was there, neither sun was there, neither sky was there, neither Akash was there, and then he was existing. So what is he? Pre-exist in the cause. Cause was there, meaning that the material world evolves from Prakriti through successive stages of transformation. This is known as cause-effect theory. When one thing is there, it will give birth to another thing, and this another thing will give birth to another thing. So the creation of one thing, one object, depends on the pre-existing matter. This is the evolution. And then another is the guna theory. The three modes of nature. Prakriti manifests itself in the three qualities or the three ways. It consists of the three gunas, qualities, from basic nature of human psychology and existence. The same three gunas are also available in the nature of human being too, not only nature outside. One is the sattva, that is purity, knowledge or balance. Rajas, activity, passion or desire. Tamas, inertia, darkness or ignorance. These are the three characteristics, like they are manifested here. You may see sattva, that is purity, knowledge, balance, joy, peace. And Indian philosophy also describes the color of this particular quality, and that color is white and it is subtle. Now another is the rajas. By the picture you may also conceptualize the idea of sattva and the rajas. Rajas means activity, action, change, movement, passion or desire. And the color, what Indian philosophy suggests, is the color is red and it is stimulating in nature. And then third one is the tamas, that reflects the inertia, darkness, inactivity, tiredness, ignorance, etc. And it's heavy in dimension, and then color is black. So these three are the ways how Prakriti manifests itself, or nature manifests itself. Then other characteristics of Samkhya philosophy, principles of reality is there. The evolution of the universe through 25 fundamental elements, including Mahat. Here these are the elements which are depend on the cause and effect. Prakriti is there. Prakriti gives birth to the Mahat, that is intellect. Intellect will give birth to the Ahankar, that is ego. And out of the ego, Manas will be emerged, that is mind. And then out of the mind, Indriyas or the senses, and then Panch Mahabhut, they will come in the existence. So this is the evolution one by one. Liberation through knowledge. Bondage is caused by ignorance, that is avidya, where Purusha wrongly identifies with Prakriti. Liberation is attained through Gyan, that is self-knowledge, distinction between Purusha and Prakriti. So these are the 25 elements what Samkhya philosophy suggests. Purush, Prakriti, Mahat, Buddhi, Ahankar, Manas. And they give birth to these elements, 10 Gyanendriya. You see that eyes, ears, nose, tongues, skin. And then Karmendriya, organs of action, Vak, or you see in English it is also written here, that speech, hands, feet, anus and genitals. And then they give birth to the Tanmantras, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandh or smell. And then Panch Mahabhutas are there, that is Akash, Vayu, Tejas, Apas, Prithvi and so on. So these are the things. And then Samkhya philosophy also talks about the three forms of body. You see subtle, that is the physical body, then subtle body, and then causal body, that is the Karan Sharir. This is also based on this idea of three bodies of Samkhya schools. Now Vedanta schools that talks about the Gyan Kand or the Pramanas and so on. So these are the sources of Vedantas: Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and then Vedanta Darshan. So here we just end. Then further Vedanta school gave birth to sub schools. We will discuss in some other lecture. Advait Vedanta, Vishesh Advait Vedanta, and so on. So some heterodox schools are there. Buddhism, we have discussed it. Then Vaibhashika and Swatantrika, these are the forms of Buddhism. Then Shunyavad and Vigyanvad, and again Jainism and Charvakas. So just now it is the end of this lecture. Thank you very much. These are certain suggested readings. I am just winding up with these beautiful lines of Thiruvalluvar. There are two kinds of people. Some are rewarded with wealth and others with wisdom. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. See you in the next lecture.